All right, what is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Vortex Nation podcast. We are recording at, once again, the Western Hunting Conservation Expo, and I'm joined by my very good friend, Mr. Ben Dettamanti, a.k.a. Shed Crazy Ben. I feel like we get to see each other not that often, but this is one of those staples. Well, you were out to Vortex not that long ago.
Yep.
And then and we always get to see you here, and it's always fun. We chat, we visit. We joke around a fair amount.
A little bit.
But I'll tell you what is no joke is some of these new shed laws that are coming into play that, I mean, it seems like there's, over time, there's been, this change. We've got an opener here, this, there.
Yep.
There appears to be a little bit more of that as of late. And, man, you are the guy for the job to kind of give us a little bit of an update of where we're at. But before we do some of that, I want to get an update on what you've been up to.
Yeah. So I have been, shed hunting. It's kind of
your thing.
The shtick, I guess, this year. So I've been working on trying to find a shed in all 50 states. I'm finishing that up right now. I have 2 states to go. I've got to knock out still Virginia, Louisiana. And once I get those 2 done, I will be done. As far as I know, the heavyweight shed champ of the USA. I don't know if anybody else has done it. I've asked around a little bit, so I've been working on that for the last couple of years.
I pulled at least 7 people.
Yeah, I mean, some guy said his uncle did it, but that's as far as I know. That's the only guy.
Sounds like a rumor to me.
That guy's uncle. So, but yeah, I've just been shed hunting. I've been just hunting during hunting season, and got the chance to go out to Vortex last year, shoot Vortex Edge. That was fun. So, yeah, nothing too exciting.
What, you got a favorite oh, no, I'm not going to actually. That's like, hey, what's your hunting spot?
I don't care. You can ask. No big deal.
What's your favorite critter to shed hunt for? Do you have one?
I think elk have always been my bread and butter, and it's just because that's what I grew up on, like Utah, Nevada, and the West. That was like what we always targeted. And we kind of find deer sheds while we were elk shed hunting. But I got the chance to pick up some moose the last couple of years, and that's a different level of antler. Like, just the weight of them and the size of them, they're something else.
Yeah, I mean, they're big, they're cool looking, they're dense. For me, I mean, I've never found a moose shed. I shouldn't even tell you this story. Well, I'm going to do it. So my brother had a buddy that gave him, he picked up this huge Shire shed.
Sweet.
Didn't want it, gave it to my brother. He put it in the garden.
Well, I mean,
I know I'm calling
shed
my
abuse
brother
is
out.
real, okay?
It
That's
is
something that we deal with in today's world.
I hate to do that. I love my brother very much. I just never understood that.
Yeah.
He's like, it looks great out there. I enjoy it. So he was enjoying it. it felt I wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, there's a good rule of thumb. You treat it like a pet, right? If it's cold, you bring them in. If it's hot, you bring them in. Like, your sheds belong in the house, all right?
It makes sense. I mean, yeah, feed them when they need fed.
Yeah.
All the things.
Take care of them.
Cool, man. Well, any exciting projects you've been working on the 50 states? What's your plan when you get that done? What do you think that's going to feel like?
Probably nothing. I really hope it's going to be like a big feeling, and I'll be like, I did it, I can't believe it, but I know myself well enough to know I'll be like, all right, what's next?
Yeah.
That's just the way my brain works. So I am excited. Like, hopefully we'll be able to put the collection together and have a party this summer sometime where people can come check them out and see them. And, I'll do a film that kind of showcases the entire thing. But really, for me, the fun is doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's over, the feeling of accomplishment never really lasts very long. And I'm just like, well, I got to find something else now, so I'll go do that.
Like hunting, I mean, shed hunting takes you to a lot of places, right? In some ways, it's that North Star. You're like, yeah, I'm chasing that, but you get to go to these places and have these experiences along the way.
Right.
Any in your travels, any cool stories, any wild stories, any weird stuff? Sometimes you get back in the woods and you encounter some things that you're like, whoa, that's a little suspect, perhaps.
Yeah,
or anything
sure.
going on? You have any good stories along the way?
I have some good stories. Yeah, I have a suspicious story that, with the reach of this podcast, maybe the people involved will hear it and I'll get some answers. So I was in Indiana, and I drove my minivan. I've been doing a lot of this in just this beater minivan, right? Rest in peace, burnt Sienna.
Oh, but, no. She finally quit on you?
Yeah, and actually it may tie into this story.
Okay.
Maybe we'll get some answers. So I rolled up to a piece of public ground in Indiana. I parked. I'm putting my boots on. I'm ready to go for a hike. I have a half a day to try to find a shed. So I'm trying to hurry. And all of a sudden, 5 or 6 dudes roll up. on four-wheelers, backwoods boys. You know what I mean?
And you say you're by yourself.
I'm by myself.
That's always comfortable.
These people roll up, and they're basically like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Well, I checked the map. I think this is public land." Well, yeah, it's public, but we like to keep tabs on who goes in and out. You know, we like to know what's going on. There's a lot of theft around here. And I'm like, okay, understand. Whatever. I'm on public. This is what I'm doing. I'm finding sheds. And I talked to them, and they were kind of just like, you know, a little confrontational, not too bad. They kind of warmed a little as the conversation went on.
Were you packing a big boy?
No, so I legally cannot carry one in all 50 states, so I did not have a pistol.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just was out there, and I just thought, well, I'll just lock her up and go for a hike, and I did. I left, and it was kind of an awkward exchange with these guys. And I came back from hiking. I did not find a shed, and I got in the van, fired it up, get like just down the road, and it's just running like garbage, just absolute garbage. And so I'm like, is this a coincidence? Did something happen? Did they mess with it? And I never knew. And I had to milk the van home from Indiana to Utah. I drove home, started driving that night with a max speed of 55 miles an hour. And I had to like pick my freeway exits. Like I could only get off ones that I had the momentum to get up the up ramp, and then I could use the down ramp to get back on the freeway. Anyway, that was an interesting exchange. I've always kind of wondered, like, they messed with my van. They put some sugar in my gas tank. Like, what's going on here? So that was an adventure.
And never the same after that.
No, she's toast.
That's
I don't know what happened. I don't know. She just doesn't run anymore. So
maybe mark that spot off your shed hunting list.
That makes me want to go back there more now, actually. But no, that one was fun. Like, we had some wild times in Alaska too. Like, I went with a good buddy of mine, Adam Grenda, and we flew his Super Cub around. He flew, I rode. And we had some good times there too. You know, we landed in a spot, and we were picking up sheds, and I kept asking him the whole time, like, how worried do I need to be about bears? And he's like, oh, be aware, be on your toes. We carried the big, you know, I was carrying a 454 Casull.
Okay. You were packing a big boy.
Yeah, we were ready on that one. And I hiked through this river bottom. I hiked all over, found some sheds. And I didn't ever feel like I was in any sort of a dangerous spot. There's bear trails along the river. I, like, laid down and took a nap for a minute. Like, I'm chill. And when we took off out of there was 5 brown bears within, like, a mile of that spot. There was a sow with 2 cubs, and there was 2 big boars that were following that sow, like, right around where we were hiking. And they were there the whole time, and I never saw them. And I'm like, once we got up in the air, I'm like, oh, man. Could have been lunch real easy right there. Didn't even notice it. So
golly.
That was exciting.
That's wild. You got a favorite? Like, what was your favorite out of all of them, do you think?
I think just the adventure of Alaska is so hard to beat, you know? Yeah. And the scenario, the place we got to go, the sheds we found, like, it's a winner. But I loved New Hampshire was a sleeper that I didn't think was going to be that cool, and then it was amazing.
What'd you like about it?
Just, I mean, the scenery is so different from anywhere I've ever been. It's like a little mountain state, you know? And then they have, like, just like the moss and the green, and it was so beautiful. And then we found amazing moose antlers there, too. So it was like, it had it all for me.
I always talk about it. My home state is Washington, so it sounds like you found a horn there.
I did.
It's somewhat of a unique state. We have blacktails, whitetails, and mule deer. Mm-hmm. What'd you pick up there?
I went for elk in Washington.
Or D.
Yeah, none of the above. And everybody was like, you can't go to Eastern, you got to go to Western. Like, they wanted me to go fight my way through the blackberries, I guess. But I picked Eastern Washington, and we went to a really good elk unit, and it was a one day and done. I found a really nice brown elk antler. Nice to me. It's a small bowl, but it was cool. I had a great time with my buddy Cody out there.
When you're going to a lot of these states and you pick up that horn, you're like, okay, got one. Are you like, peace out, we got to go to the next one?
Sometimes.
Or do you you're like, dude, no, this is like, we could find a bunch of horns here?
Yeah, so it just depends kind of like what my travel schedule is like, because I did both.
Okay.
So, like, I mean, it wasn't one and dip in every state, but it was in some. Like Arkansas, we literally rolled in the minivan to a piece of public, got out in the parking lot, crossed the highway to where we were going to hike, and I found a spike, like, immediately. And then I made like a 500-yard loop, and I'm like, let's get out of here, dude. Like, we could get to the next state, and we drove from Arkansas to Wisconsin and started there.
That's super cool. Well, I imagine like a lot of those Northeast states too, you could be like just boom, hop aboard,
Yeah.
hop aboard, or hop aboard.
I did that a bunch in the Northeast, and I got at 2 different times. I got 2 different states in the same day in the Northeast.
Nice.
So hit a morning hike and an evening hike. in the
Very
state.
efficient.
Yeah.
Very efficient. How many years have you been working on this?
We're just coming up on. So in March it will be the beginning of the 3rd year. So 2.5 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, speaking of picking up all these sheds and multiple states, give us, if you can, give us an update on maybe some of these newer regulations that we're seeing pop up.
Yeah. Stuff's kind of getting wild out there. It's becoming a new trend in the West to put a lot of regulations on shed hunting, and I think it's the public in a lot of cases calling for it. In most cases, it doesn't come through the fishing game. Like a lot of the stuff they're doing right now has come through the legislature. But regardless, it's ending up in new regulations, seasons. So Idaho just required people to buy a hunting license to be able to pick up antlers. That's a new one. Montana, there's talk of a shed permit where you actually buy a permit to shed hunt. The same thing is being floated in Nevada now. So, and all those states have enacted some type of a season. Nevada has a shed season now. And then Wyoming went to a shed closure, and then they offer now a 7-day buffer for residents where no non-residents can hike for sheds during the 7-day buffer at the beginning of the season.
Getting that early scoop.
Yeah, so I feel like the shed regulations are just like everybody's throwing them up in the air to see what sticks right now, and it's making it confusing for the average Joe who just wants to go for a walk to pick up an antler. So,
for sure. I mean, I always say it's like when it comes to hunting and fishing, and I know we need a lot of things. We need the regulations.
Yeah.
You know? But, man, every state is different, and it's a ton to decipher. And even when you think you got it, you're always like, and you could be a very experienced hunter. You're like, I think I did everything right. But shed hunting has always been a little bit of a free zone there.
Yeah, it's like in the Wild West.
Let's keep it breezy, you know? And now it's like, now I really have to pay attention, make sure you have your ducks in a row.
Right.
You know, particularly if you're going out of state and things like that where you may be less familiar with those regulations. So it's good to at least get an update, whether you agree with these things or not.
Sure.
You kind of got to know what's going on.
Yeah, you definitely do. I mean, Colorado has a season in part of the state and not another. A lot of states shut down, like, targeted wintering areas. Some have statewide closures. So do your homework, folks. If you're going to go out there and hike, if you want to travel out of state to find antlers, Utah, this year, we're wide open. So we have seasonal closures on bad snow years, and it's just kind of like put into effect based off how the deer are doing, how the snow level is, which I don't hate that near as much. I hate regulation in general, but that being said, there's like a balance there of like, if you're going to go take from the resource, and if the money that you spend on a shed permit goes really back into conservation, I don't think most people have a problem ponying up a little bit of cash for the resource, but I just hope that's what that money's going to.
Well, and as hunters, you know, we follow along, so oftentimes we are more aware of these types of things. But if you are not a hunter and you are just, maybe you enjoy recreational shooting, but you also hike, some stuff to, you know, be mindful of as well. Because you'd be like, oh, sweet, I found a shed, pick it up, and all of a sudden you're like, ooh, I'm in violation.
Yeah, and I think the majority of the tickets they're writing are those type of people who are just recreating on the winter range and don't know. It is frustrating, too, because in a lot of these scenarios, you can be on that same ground doing a different activity and not be violating the law. But the second you touch an antler, now it's a violation of the law. In some states, they're even running late cow tags and cow hunts over the shed closure. So they can go shoot elk, but you can't pick up an antler. And it's really in the weeds right now, and it's really silly.
That does seem contradictory. We're running an active big game season where you're walking around the hills, pursuing animals.
Shooting elk. But if you pick up a shed, now the elk are going to die. It's a lot, and I think everybody's trying to find their place and how much or how little they're going to regulate it. But, you know, just due to the popularity of it, I think that's where we're at.
Interesting stuff. When are you heading out to get these last two?
I think we'll do early March. So I was pushing for the end of February, but I don't know if I'll get there quite yet. I need a couple weeks to maybe decompress after this show.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do them both in a big road trip and drive and hit them both, or maybe fly separate. I'm not sure. But by the end of March, it'll be done. It'll be wrapped.
Cool.
For sure.
Cool. Well, that'll be a weight off your shed shoulders.
Yes.
Then.
Yeah. A lot of weight.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
Boy, anything we missed? Anything else we need to get an update on, or cool projects that you have in the works that we should keep our eyes out for?
Yeah. I mean, I think we covered it pretty good. I'm working on a project this year doing some lever action rifle stuff that I think is going to be exciting. I know I talked to you a little bit about that. So keep an eye out. I'm not spilling the beans.
So hot right now.
Dude, it's so trendy, so cool. So I think people are really going to like it. I know I'm going to like it, and I'm the one who gets to go do the hunts, so that's what matters most to me.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, dude, it's always great seeing you. Appreciate you sitting down with us today. And, man, hopefully it won't be too long before we see you here in the near future again.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. All right. Well, thanks, everybody, for listening. Hopefully you learned something. And I think, one thing you might learn is just that you got to pay attention to some of the stuff because some of it is newer. And go out there, enjoy yourself, pick up a horn legally. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.